The Albury War Memorial, 1925 to 2025. After a brief history and an introduction, we will view drone footage of the Albury War Memorial. In December 1915, Charles Reed, a visiting town planner from England, proposed a memorial for the fallen brave on the crest of Weston Hill to be built as high as the public could afford. In mid-1919, life across Australia had started to return to some sort of normality 7 or 8 months after World War I had ended. But the horrors of what had occurred were still very fresh in memories. Cities and towns all around Australia were looking for appropriate memorials to their locals who had served and the many who had died in the conflict and were buried in foreign soil. Albury locals were considering how best to remember those from this district who had not returned. There were two versions of what should be done. Should it be a monument, or perhaps a building or structure with a practical use? Feelings were expressed at a July 1919 meeting of returned soldiers and sailors that Albury should build a memorial building with a practical use, specifically an Anzac Memorial Hall for returned servicemen to visit and socialise with mates. A spokesman for the servicemen was quoted in the Border Morning Mail saying, "What is the use of the proposed monument? It is only to look at." However, many Albury citizens preferred the idea of a lasting memorial. Writing to the editor of the Border Morning Mail on August 4, Albury solicitor Walter Henderson commented, "What is a memorial? It is not a temporary social club. It is not a temporary building. It is not a necessity. It is not even required. It is something that will bring home to children now young and to all future generations of children the great part which the fighting men of the present day took in the Great War. A memorial worthy of the name must be something permanent and of a pronounced and distinctive character. It must represent not any local section of the soldiers, but all who enlisted in the town and district." The idea of a memorial on Weston Hill was revived in 1922. A War Memorial Committee was formed, and at a meeting of the committee held in August, it was resolved that in spite of many arguing for a memorial on utilitarian lines, they were determined to proceed with the Weston Hill plan. Stuart Logan proposed a steel-reinforced concrete tower 150 feet tall. Local architect Lewis Harrison prepared a sketch of a tower 166 feet tall, and a motion was carried that planning should proceed. In July 1923, a design submitted by Lewis Harrison was accepted for a monument 100 feet, that's about 30 metres, high on the apex of Weston Hill, 400 feet or 120 metres above Dean Street. On March 21, 1924, a meeting at the Soldiers Memorial Committee was held. 4 tenders were received for the erection of the memorial on Weston Hill. The lowest and winning tender was from local building contractor Thomas Henry Bartleson. Bartleson's eldest son, John Henry Bartleson, was a gunner of the 1st Australian Field Artillery Brigade. He enlisted in September 1915 and embarked from Melbourne 1 month later. Aged just 19, Bartleson was killed in action by shell fire at Pozieres in France on July 26, 1916, during the Battle of the Somme. He is one of the many local service personnel who lost their lives serving in the armed forces, and they are listed on plaques and they're memorialised at the War Memorial. Construction of the memorial got underway in 1924. and this photograph shows progress. The War Memorial Monument was unveiled on Anzac Day in 1925 in dedication to the men and women who served in World War I. The main speaker was General John Jackson Payne. He was born in Albury in 1864, the son of John Hans Payne, a long-time town clerk of Albury, and he completed his schooling at Albury Public School and then Albury Grammar School. Shane McKenzie has produced a drone video recognising the 100th anniversary of the opening of the War Memorial. We'll have a look at that video now.